Okay, boys and girls. So we're continuing our journey in mindfulness lessons. The first one that we got from our Teach, Read, Learn book was, I preferred that one, week 1 to last week's. That was the one where we closed our eyes. We went through our different kind of parts of the body, right? Remember that one? Thumbs up if you remember that. And last week, we talked about 4 different earthly elements. We talked about the flower, we talked about the mountain, we talked about still water, and we talked about air and space and how we identify with those things. So this week, we're going to go back to our 5 senses, which you learned about in kindergarten, believe it or not. But you're going to learn about it in a whole new way, and in a way that'll help you in all sorts of different situations. No matter how old you are, no matter what you're doing. It's a technique that if you practice it, it'll really become something that I imagine some of you will go back to time and time again. So do I have a volunteer to read to us the title of the activity and the directions? Someone can raise their hand. It's only one person willing to, okay, 2 people, 3 people. All right, Mackenzie, nice and loud so that Jill and Cetri can hear you. Go ahead.
Starting with your 5 senses. When you are feeling overwhelmed or
Anxious. That's those jitters, nervousness feeling. Anxious, yeah.
taking some time to notice the things around you can help you calm down. Practice being mindful of your surroundings, writing down what you see, slows your challenges.
Okay. So let's do 2 of them together. Okay. So the very first one, we're supposed to just focus on things we see. So I'll give you a few seconds to do that. I'm going to do it myself quietly. I will write down first. I don't want you to write down anything on your paper yet. For you, it's just a practice, a line model. You just try. I'll go first. Anyone want to raise their hand and volunteer to share what I just focused on my sight? What are some things that I see if I really just pay attention to my sense of sight? Oliver?
Children playing.
Good. Outside, yeah. Anyone read? It's a little challenging me to write. For me to write from back there. Does anyone know what that says? Miles?
Colored pencils.
Yeah, very good. So, the children playing outside certainly makes me feel happy. It does. That happiness brings me a sense of peace. Because I think about how fortunate we've been with some amazing weather. Recently, we have this gorgeous yard, large backyard here. So that certainly calms me and brings me some peace. The other thing that caught my eye is this rainbow of glued together colored pencils that Miss Stewart has. Because I thought it was really pretty. It's like a glued together shape, almost like a vase in the back of her room over by her phone. Now, I might be feeling right now these feelings of anxiousness, the word Mackenzie pointed out, or feelings of stress because gosh, I have so much to do. I can hear my email chiming away while I'm teaching this lesson. I have things, to worry about this evening when I get home, or homework to help my son with. But if I just focus on one of these senses at a time, it helps me tune all that stuff out and just pay attention to what I see. This is something that can help. Let's say if you're, getting on an airplane and you get nervous to fly, or you're, on the subway, or even on your bus. I mean, some of us, I've been on your buses. Some of us get nervous on the bus even. This is something that can help us, help you. Tune all that out and go through each one of these senses, just paying attention to each one. I'm going to travel down to number 3 on your paper. What does number 3 ask you to really focus on? Lily? Hearing. Okay. I have to share, and I might have told Ms. LaValle this. I think I did tell you this morning. I had such a great one yesterday. We're doing another version of this with another class. It was a 2nd grade class. And I had a 2nd grader that, man, she was so good at being mindful of just her sense of hearing. But she shared at the end, and she wrote, she heard colored pencils dropping on the floor. She heard a backpack zipper opening and closing. She heard teachers whispering and laughing in the background. And you know what it was? It had to be me and Miss Schultz trying to set up one of the computers for circulation. But she heard that. She's really tuned into that. What else? There was a 4th thing she heard. Oh, she heard a fan in the room. I mean, she was really did a great job. Now, if you can, go all the way down to the bottom of the page to number 1. This one is really something I challenge with. I have a challenge with, so I'm thinking you may as well. What is number 1 asking you to focus on? Yes, things you can taste. So, when you're not in the middle of eating, that can be a little hard. So I'm going to just close my eyes and focus on that for a minute. So, all right, there's 2 things I can kind of make out in my mouth that I can taste. So one is, I had a Mento, I don't know, maybe like a half hour ago. Anyone know what a Mento is?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. What's a Mento? Yeah. Yep. It's like a mint that you put in your mouth, and it's really hard. It's like a hard candy, but then as time passes, it becomes almost like a little piece of gum, and then it dissolves. So I noticed really focusing on it, I could still taste a little bit of that mint. But the other thing, this one's kind of gross. The other thing that I feel like I kind of taste, it's almost like a chalky taste. The one thing I ate today was a little thing of like Greek yogurt. And I feel like it almost leaves this like sort of, I don't know, chalkiness or something in my mouth, unless it's the mint, I'm not sure.
No, I feel like yogurt does leave that weird taste.
Yeah. So it is, but those are the 2 things I would be able to write down there right now. If you really struggle with number 1, I'm giving you a pass on that one. Don't feel pressure. Make yourself, because, it's all about being mindful and at peace in this jittery world that we're in right now, So the last thing we want is to create, have you be anxious to fill out, number 1. If and when you finish and you haven't been selected to come to the cart yet for book exchange, flip your paper over and continue to build upon this list. You could write hundreds of things that you see in this room. I mean, we're in the Stewart room, right? There's a lot to look at. A lot to look at. You're very lucky. You're one of the classrooms with the back-facing windows here. Think about different things that you hear. So just keep it going. Practice this skill. Practice the skill of being mindful with different senses. Are there any questions before we transition to talking a little bit about book exchanges? Anyone have a comment, a concern, a question about what you need to do now? Yes, yeah.